Well, Miriam Puttick is a civilian rights officer at the Minority Rights Group, one of the authors of this report. She joins me from London now, in Canada now. Miriam, just want to start really with your data. How did you go about collecting this?
Well, the data that we've relied on in this report is coming from a number of different groups. Some of those are based on the ground in Syria and Iraq, and there are also a number of groups which are monitoring civilian casualties from outside those two countries. In addition, we've relied on Arabic language and local media reports, which often have a broader discussion about those issues. But the problem is we're getting, we're getting part of the picture from different organizations, and that's why there's a need for the coalition itself to actually conduct investigations so we can arrive at definite numbers.
And it's one thing we already know that Assad's air force has been killing people indiscriminately in large numbers, but for the United States and other air forces to be killing civilians, albeit inadvertently, it's difficult to accept, isn't it? What would you like to see happen now that you've compiled this report? What would you like to see those governments' response to be?
Well, in any sort of military intervention, there has to be a sort of balancing between the expected benefits or the pros and the expected, dangers of intervening. And so part of that is we need to know the expected civilian outcome of any types of interventions. So what we need to do is we need to see from the international coalition actually taking reports that are coming from the ground seriously and investigating, launching full and impartial investigations into any of these reports.
It's very hard to do that in Syria, though, isn't it, where it's just not possible to get that sort of intelligence?
Well, I mean, there are lots of groups on the ground which are risking their lives in order to produce this kind of intelligence. So these reports need to be taken seriously. I mean, that's obviously part of the challenge of intervening in a place like Syria, where there's very difficulties in access to areas. But that's not an excuse that we just can't accept to turn our eyes away from, possible civilian casualties.
Okay, Miriam Puttick there. Thank you very much for your analysis.